Can this be a season to remember for the Auburn Tigers?
There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
Hello and welcome to this episode of War Eagle Weekly. Tonight we got Josh back. Josh, how are we doing tonight?
I feel better than I did last week, that's for sure.
Good.
I was not doing good at all.
Well, hey, I carried on without you. I think the episode did fine, so we are good. But tonight we have something exciting and fun to talk about. We're talking about our beloved Auburn basketball team, men's basketball team. Josh, are you as excited about this as I am?
Dude, I tell you what, man. I know it's only the second game of the season, but it felt like a Final Four game. It was intense.
Yeah.
My heart was beating out of my chest the entire second half. It was a crazy fun game. I love that we have a true freshman that can hit open shots and contested shots.
Oh, don't worry. We are going to talk about Tahad Pettiford tonight, as well as probably take some digs at Aiden Holloway as well.
Oh, plenty of them.
For those of you that don't know, we are recording this on Sunday, November 10th, which is the day after Auburn flew -2 players into Houston and beat Houston on their home city court.
No. It was Houston Rockets Arena. It wasn't the Cougars arena.
So
the Cougar Den is, well, I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, whatever it is. But let's jump right into this. Actually, before we jump into this, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to click the notification bell. Share this video with your friends. Guys, we want to hear your comments. Go ahead and comment on this video. And jumping right in. So like I previously stated, we are already 2 games into this season and have already seen our Auburn Tigers with 2 decisive wins and 2 big wins. But Josh, we're going to talk about this first slate of games in the month of November. And you and I both had the same prediction here, thinking that Auburn was going to win everything, including the Iowa State game that we are going to be playing them in. And they are currently one of the top ranked teams in the country as well. But absolutely fantastic month of November, according to you and I, and predicting by you and I. Hopefully we can follow through. Hopefully we can get these wins for sure.
I'm thinking so. I mean, this was obviously against Houston. This was obviously our first big test on the season. Yeah. Not saying Vermont wasn't a big test. They were a tournament team last year, and they've been in the tournament for years.
Points.
But 51 points is crazy against Vermont. And then you go on the road to play the number 4 team in the country in Houston. And, everyone knows about Auburn's road struggles last year. Everyone knows about Auburn's home dominance last year. And the fact that Auburn was able to go on the road last minute, even because they had to divert their plane back to Auburn after being in the air for 30 minutes, be without 2 of their players, and then still finish out super strong in the second half to get the dub against the number 4 team. I mean, things are looking really good. It seems like they got their ducks in a row early season, and they're going to be able to put a very good offensive and defensive product on the court every single night.
Yes, and we actually had a freshman that wanted to ISO and sidestep and hit wide open threes and
play defense.
This freshman actually did. Bruce went in there. He gave him a promise and fulfilled that promise and let him go out there and do some work. But absolutely fantastic game. It felt like a March Madness game. It felt like a Final Four game in Houston, and we were without 2 rotation players that are going to see plenty of minutes this year. And so that was even more impressive. And there at the end of the game, Tahad Pettiford, our 5-star freshman, and Janai
took the hell over.
Just took over the game and absolutely dominated the game. And I think we're going to see a lot of this going on in the season. The Houston game was by far should be our biggest test in the month of November. I don't think we have anything to worry about Kent State or North Alabama. And then once we go into Iowa State, again, you and I both think that we're going to win that game.
Iowa State is still ranked number 5 for a reason.
Yeah.
They're not going to be a super easy team to beat. Now, I will be thoroughly convinced that Auburn is the best basketball program in the country if they go into the Iowa State game and beat them in either dominant fashion or in the fashion they beat Houston.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. But like you pointed out with the Vermont, we are dominant on our home court. And so really there's not many times this year at home that I'm super worried about. And I believe ESPN showed the graphic. We haven't lost a non-conference home game since 2016. Hopefully we can continue that. But let's go ahead and jump right on into the month of December. We got games against Duke, at Duke. That one's going to be a tough one. Richmond at Ohio State, Georgia State, Purdue, which is being played in Birmingham, if I remember correctly, and then Monmouth. You and I had some differing opinions on this. We both have ourselves losing at Duke. It's one of those things where you have to sit there and you have to say, okay, we were probably going to lose one of these.
Who's who on this list here?
Oh,
I can't remember who I chose.
Thank you. Here, let's go back. Oh, geez. Sorry.
I figured I should stop that then because I was like, well, who's who?
So in the month of December, we have us playing Duke, Richmond, at Ohio State after we went to Duke, Georgia State, Purdue, and then Monmouth. We're going to have our predictions here. And for the purpose of this entire presentation and the entire episode, I am going to be represented with the W's and the L's on the left side of the screen. Josh is going to be represented by the right side. So when you do see these pop up, easy to differentiate. Everything Josh is on the right, everything Cameron is on the left. And that includes once we break down who this year is going to be our MVP here at the end of this episode. So stay tuned for that. But let's jump right into our predictions here. Both of us, surprisingly, weren't complete homers and actually have Auburn losing a game this year, even after that dominating win against Houston. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, well, we're probably going to lose a game at some point, probably going to be at Cameron Indoor Arena there in Duke. I don't think that there's really any surprise, and a lot of fans are going to want us to win that game, and hopefully we do. Maybe we get lucky, but that's a tough environment, Josh.
It really is. I mean, you can't just go into Duke's home court and expect to, pull up the upset because it's definitely going to be an upset. I would like to think that Auburn could go in and win that game. I mean, if Auburn can win out in the month of November that we think they can, and they look super dominant doing it, then I'll feel a little better about them going into Cameron and playing a little closer to the vest and putting up a decent fight against Duke. But as it stands right now, I just don't see a way of Auburn getting out of that road trip alive.
Yeah. And the thing is us running the table in November, this team, it might be feeling itself and might be feeling real good and thinking, hey, we got this. This isn't too hard. It might get caught a little off guard, maybe didn't prepare as much as they should, thinking that they dominated the opponents there in November. And or at least that was my thinking leading up to that. So outside that Duke game, we each have Auburn winning the next 3 games, with you thinking that they're going to lose to Purdue in Birmingham. What's your thought process here?
Let me go ahead and explain this. Because it's such an early, prediction to the schedule.
Yeah,
we only have 2 games plus 2 exhibition games under our belt for Auburn, and we don't have a very big sample size. I didn't want to seem like too big of a homer, so I decided to go ahead and give Auburn the L against Purdue. I mean, if Purdue can go into Alabama and beat them on the 15th, then I'll feel a little bit better about Auburn taking the L there. I also don't think Alabama is the second best team in the country, though.
Yeah, especially
And I also
with
don't think Purdue's only the 14th best team in the country.
especially since they don't have a very good player coming off the bench in Aiden Holloway.
Yeah, no.
Dude could not hit the broadside of a barn last year, and so I just do not see him having a productive year for Alabama, especially when Nate Oates is his coach. I just don't see it happening. But enough Aiden Holloway for this minute. I honestly. It's not, dude. I'm so pissed off of that guy. I'm petty. We're constantly gonna be bringing it up.
That's over and done with, but heck him.
Yeah. So the problem is we're going through this schedule, and I'm like, that's a W, that's a W, that's a W, and I got done with it. I got done with it, and I was like, well, shit. I don't think we're gonna win every game, Cameron. Let's go back and let's reevaluate this, and let's be analytical as best we can. But it feels so good as an Auburn fan to be able to cheer and to be happy for our team. I mean, yes, I've been cheering the football team this year, but it's not the same. It's not what we're used to. And I'm cheering for them, but I'm cheering for them to somehow pull something out their ass for this football team. This basketball team yesterday, I was giddy. I mean, there were points in the game where my wife and my brother Brandon was watching the game with me next to me. I am like kicking and screaming and just punching the air. I'm so excited. And I haven't been able to have that all year long. My wife had to tell me, hey, the kids are in bed. Calm down. Be quiet. Take it down a notch. And I'm just like, this has been pent up inside of me. So I had to restrain myself in this prediction. Sorry for going on that tangent, but I just couldn't help myself when it came to this.
About Auburn sports right now. It's very fun to think of the potential for the season.
Yes. Okay. Good month of December, really. I mean, we're both getting pretty moving into January. Okay, this is where we start our conference play. And for the first time, I don't know if we've ever played at Texas before, but Texas is a ranked team. We got Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, Mississippi State. We each have pretty much every game on the schedule. We have a W, except for I am saying that Auburn is going to lose to Texas at Texas.
What's your reasoning?
We can't win them all. That's literally I have not watched Texas play. This is early prediction. I feel like you get off of that rough month of December. Winning on the road in the SEC is a tough ask. And Texas, historically, even before they came into the SEC, they were a good basketball school. I mean, Kevin Durant hails from Texas, or from the University of Texas, but at the same time, winning on the road in the SEC is hard. And this team is going to trip up at some point. They're a veteran-laden team, but I do think that we will see them trip up in games that we maybe are not expecting. And it's the first in-conference road game. And so I think we're going to trip up. I think we could. I
don't know, man. They lost to Ohio State by 8 points. Ohio State's not ranked.
No, they're not.
I don't think Texas is even close to be a game that I would be worried about. If anything, out of any of those games, I was considering giving Auburn an L at Georgia. If anything.
Okay. All right.
Texas didn't even cross my mind of being a team that I was like, Auburn could potentially lose. Because I mean, if you can go on the road into Houston's backyard, Texas's crowd is nowhere near as devout as Houston's crowd.
I agree. But again, just winning on the road. That's the problem. Winning on the road. And we haven't played Texas. I don't know how they play. It feels like the first wake up call for in-conference season. Everyone's going to be talking, hey, can this Auburn team actually pull it off? I was a little worried about South Carolina. I know they don't have a lot of the same pieces as they had last year, but with that drumming we gave South Carolina in the regular season, as well as what we did in the SEC tournament. I thought maybe they're going to be wanting to get some, revenge. And so I'm a little worried about that one, but it should be a fairly easy W, I think, when it's all said and done.
Let's hope so. Yeah, I'm not too worried about those stretch of games at all. Okay. To be honest with you.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, hopefully you're right. Hopefully we're not having to worry about that. And those games are going to be super simple for us, and we're not going to have any problems during that month. It's the first month of in-conference game, January. A lot can happen. I mean, again, man,
that's true.
It's hard. It's hard to win on the road in the SEC, and so anytime, it doesn't matter who the team is, you're going to have a tough task and a tough ask leading into that game. So we'll have to see how it goes, and we'll see how we finish the month of January. But so far, both of us are looking, I mean, for the most part, pretty good on the season. I'm feeling pretty good about our schedule. Here in February, we go to Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Florida comes to town, at Vandy, at Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, and Ole Miss again. Okay, here we go. The first agreement that we have on the L side, we both have us losing to Florida in Neville Arena. You just got done talking about how good of a home court advantage we have. You really think that we're going to lose in Neville? And hey, let's just be honest, I do too. I have this down as an L as well.
I think it's one of those games that's going to sneak up on them because, 2 weeks after that or 2 games after that, you got Alabama on the road. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, no one's really worried about Vanderbilt. They don't do shit on the court anymore. And Alabama's the game you're looking at because, Florida hasn't been the same since Joakim Noah or what's his face for the Wizards?
We lost to Florida at Florida last year, Josh. Let's not act like they are a nobody.
Okay, well, that doesn't count.
If they did not lose,
because it's the same deal as this year.
If they did not lose their center in the SEC championship or in the SEC tournament, okay, that game is completely different on that Sunday. I'm sorry, it just is.
Who cares?
Okay? So Florida's a very well coached team, and their coach is one of the best up and coming coaches out there in the country right now.
I just think it's going to be a game that sneaks up on Auburn. That's my reasoning behind the L.
Okay. Well, I agree. I think there's something about Florida that they always give us a hard time. And I know most of the time that they give us a hard time is when we are down there in the swamp of Gainesville. But it just feels like we might be getting a little too comfortable, and this might be a nice little wake-up call. Now, I have us losing at Alabama. You have us winning, and
you misrepresented me on this graphic here as well.
Oh, did I? How?
You did, because I said emphatic W.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Emphatic.
Here, give the people a big, flash there in the camera.
I'm talking about as big as Auburn beat Arkansas last year.
Woo!
That's what I'm talking about.
Man, that's an emphatic W right there.
This Auburn team is basically the exact same team that played with Aiden Holloway last year. This is the first time getting to play against Aiden Holloway. They are all going to want to go out and make a statement. And Tahad Pettiford is also going to want to make a statement. He's like, this is what you gave up, son. I'm coming for it.
Hey, man, it very well could be Alabama. Their fans are going to be up for that one, even though they are in a terrible
all 400 of them,
and they don't know how to pay their light bill. All 400 of them. I think first play of the game or first couple minutes of the game, we might see Chad Baker-Mazara get ejected because he goes after Aiden Holloway for talking about his coach. It very well could happen. It could happen
because Chad Baker-Mazara loves him some Bruce Pearl. It's so obvious. It's okay though, because we love Chad Baker-Mazara as well.
Yes, we do. We love Chad, and and we love Coach Pearl because the man has just absolutely changed the outlook of this
Best
this
11
basketball
years in
team.
Auburn sports, period.
Oh, it's I would say Auburn sports, but I would say in Auburn basketball by far.
I would say that I'm saying the best consecutive 11 years in Auburn sports,
Okay.
period.
Okay. All right. That's a little bit of a take, but okay. All right. But we have us winning. Now, here's the thing. Okay. We're not going to glance over this. We both have us winning against Arkansas, the John Calipari Arkansas, the Arkansas who looked really good yesterday. I mean, they had a nice little win yesterday. So that one's kind of that could be a difficult game. Right now, Arkansas is not ranked. But come February, they very well could be ranked. And in
Arkansas is number
thick,
16 right now, dude.
oh, well, my mistake. I apologize. You're right. Yep. I don't know why I was thinking that they weren't ranked, but either way, Arkansas couldn't be ranked in the top 10 by the time we get there.
They didn't have a nice little win the other day, dude. You got that wrong as well. They lost 72-67 to Baylor.
I thought they beat Baylor. Wow, am I completely
No, they
wrong?
lost 72-67, and they only beat Lipscomb by 16.
Oh my gosh. I am sorry, listeners. I don't know where my mind is with this Arkansas team, but my thought process on it still remains. I do think
they did look good against Baylor. You are right, though.
I think this one is going to be a difficult game. Arkansas, by this time, they are several months into the Calipari tenure. He's going to have them looking pretty good. Everyone's going to be talking about Arkansas. They're going to be everyone's, tournament team to watch out. They're quickly rising up, things like that. And so it could be a tough game. It really could be. But February, a good month. But again, conference play is tough, and I have 2 L's, you have the 1 L. Let's move on into the very last month of conference play. We're going to have 3 games in the month of March. Fellas, ladies, gentlemen, let's talk about these last 3 games because they are a effing doozy, if you will. 2 road games and then an Iron Bowl to end the season. Let's freaking go. Come on. Let's go.
I love it. That's a good way to end your season. Those 3 games, 2 on the road, 1 at home, and the biggest game of the 3 at home. I'll take that any day of the week. Yeah. It's gonna be really good. I can't wait for that go around. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun. And
obviously, I have us winning out.
Yes, you do. You have us closing out, heading into the month of March, into tournament time with 3 W's in a row, and looking really good based off of these results. I have us losing at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a not as good version of Houston, let's be honest. But at the same time, Texas A&M is a well-coached team. Playing their location at their home arena is hard. This team somehow always has our number. And so it really could be a very difficult game. And I think kind of like how you were talking about us looking into Alabama, and that's the reason why we lose the Florida game. I kind of, I'm thinking that's why we're going to lose this Texas A&M game. We're going to be looking ahead and saying, hey, we got the Iron Bowl. We're going to get revenge on Alabama because in my estimation, we're going to lose that first one at Alabama. And so they're going to be looking ahead, and I think they're going to be caught with their pants down.
No, I agree with you. I mean, that was also a toss-up for me as well because I believe Texas A&M is 15-7 all-time versus Auburn. So they have the edge. We're on the road against them. And we do have Alabama the last game of the season. But, I mean, again, that's a 50-50 game. We don't know exactly what we have from either team at this point in the season. But in regards to the Iron Bowl of Basketball 2.0, I feel like it's unacceptable to split that series this season. I feel like this team needs to like circle those dates on the schedule and make it a priority to win those 2 games. Obviously,
Alabama
don't forget
has
about
a
all the
very
good
good
teams,
team.
but they do. I think Auburn has a better team.
I agree. I agree.
Especially,
But
I would definitely say they're deeper than Alabama. Alabama does not have 10 players they can trust the way that Bruce Pearl trusts his 10 players.
No, and they definitely can't trust Aiden Holloway because the dude's a bum.
He does a brick after brick. It was like Shaq trying to shoot a 3.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't turn the ball over. Kudos to him.
That's true. He also doesn't get points.
But he kind of is just not. He's not a player you can rely on. Kind of like how he was trying to.
Ever kept his mouth shut. Oh my gosh!
I know we had when he left. We were like, "Hey, best of luck to him. I hope it works out for him." Yeah, he's going to Alabama. This freaking sucks. I hate it.
And then he ran his damn mouth.
But then he ran his mouth, and there was an episode that I did by myself, and I went off on Aiden Holloway.
You went on a rant.
I went on the biggest rant. And if you have not seen that, go back and try to find that episode. It's one of the first episodes that we did. Josh, actually, we lost his video file and had to go and put his face up on there. But still, it was an absolute. Oh man, it fired me up, and it fired up Janai Broom, and it fired up this team. So I agree. They're going to have some choice words for Aiden Holloway. So, but let's go ahead and move on. Our final record. We're both looking pretty good. 24-5 is what I'm thinking, and 26-3 for you. Not a bad season by any stretch for either one of us, really.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I don't think we've been this close to being 100% united as this in a very long time, because you only have us losing 2 more games, and the 2 games you have us losing, they're both toss-ups. And I mean, we could even lose less games than either one of us predict. Like once we go on and have more sampling of the team as the season goes on, we're gonna obviously we're gonna update these predictions like we have with football. But I mean, they've passed the eye test 110%. They have passed the eye test.
Yep, they have. Also, real quick before we move on, did anybody else get the feeling after listening to the audio recording of the pilot turning the plane around? Did anybody else get the sense that those 2 guys, or that pilot and maybe even the stewardess, were Alabama fans and were just trying to sabotage our team? I got that. I know I probably should have brought this up earlier, but it really, the guy was like, we feel like it's best if we turn around. We don't want this team to go to Houston.
Between Ja'Kai and Turtle, apparently someone did end up getting bloodied. They both got suspended at least 1 game. They had to wear their get along T-shirt where they had to wear it together. So, I mean, maybe the pilot overreacted, but you got regulations and laws you got to abide by in the air. So if he felt it was unsafe, then he acted, and I would say he made the right decision, but I also think they may have overreacted.
He still sounded like an Alabama fan.
Yeah, colluded against Auburn.
Yep. So let's go ahead and jump into our team awards. Now, people, this is just for this Auburn team. We're not talking about the NCAA awards. We're not talking about the SEC awards. We are talking
Auburn
strictly
awards.
About the Auburn awards. No surprise, both of us have Janai Broom as our MVP, especially after the way he took over that game against Houston, and we're already seeing him lead this team and put this team on his shoulders in moments that are critical. I don't think that this is any surprise that we're agreeing on.
No, absolutely not. I mean, as the second half progressed, you literally saw Janai Broom demanding the ball be passed to him because he had his positioning, he had his shot. he got what he wanted in that game.
Yes.
And he's easily the most important player on the court at all times for Auburn.
I would agree. Moving on, our sixth man, we actually did differ in opinion here, and for different reasons, I think. You have Pettiford as your sixth man of the year. I have Chaney Johnson as the sixth man of the year. I am really big on Chaney Johnson. I was big on him last year. In the Florida game, he was the one that kind of stepped up, and I pointed out to you, I was like, it looks like this guy is starting to get it. And throughout the rest of the year, he actually turned in some fantastic performances and really came into his own. And I think he's going to continue that this year. And so far in these first two games, he really has. The guy led Auburn in the first half. At one point, I think he had
I think he was the only
or nine.
He was the first player.
Points.
He was the first player to hit double digits for Auburn last night against Houston. So I agree. It could go either way, but right now the reason I put Pettiford down is I don't think Pettiford will. I mean, he might start a couple games, but I would say you got to have that fire, that explosion coming off the bench to continue keeping your guys hot, keeping your guys fresh. Because I do think JP Pegues, he leads a pretty good. He knows how to distribute the ball. He knows coaches' plays and everything. And I'd rather have that veteran IQ over that freshman fire, in my opinion. I want that heat coming off the bench.
That's fair, but I actually think Pettiford, after maybe even halfway through the non-com schedule, we're going to start seeing Pettiford start a majority of games. And that's why I don't have him as the sixth man, because I think he's going to take over that starting position. And after the Houston game, it's really hard to argue that, Josh, and you know it.
But I mean, I feel like my argument would make a really good one. You gotta have that fire come from somewhere, and there's not many players on our bench that's going to be able to light the scoreboard up like that. Like he obviously got the most minutes in the second half over JP Pegues because he had the hot hand. He was the microwave.
Right.
You don't want to take the ball out of the hands when you're like that, and sometimes to have that coming off the bench is a huge thing because the offense was doing. They were doing pretty good the entire game. They fell behind a little bit. They put Pettiford in. Pettiford started hitting shots. So, okay, we're going to run with him for right now.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why they kept Chad Baker-Mazara on the bench last year, because he was just so explosive off of the bench, and we needed that scoring on the second team. So you might be right. We'll have to see as the season goes on. I think one of us is actually going to be correct here. I do think it's going to be one of these two guys. I really do. Moving on, our surprise player. Again, we actually have differing opinions. You have your surprise player as Chaney Johnson. And I have our surprise player as Kelly. And for me, okay, well, here, you go ahead. Let's hear why do you think Chaney Johnson is going to be the surprise?
Oh, everybody knows what you're getting from Miles Kelly. Everybody knows what he's capable of doing. He did that at Georgia Tech. Everyone knows he can shoot. Everyone knows he can microwave. But listen, Chaney Johnson was D2 2 years ago, and now he's playing for one of the best teams in the country. Coming off the bench, again, you got to have that veteran leadership as well as that scoring fire coming off the bench when you need it the most. Again, I think Chaney Johnson could start a couple of games going down the stretch, barring any injuries or hot hands. But Chaney Johnson, he is a very important part of this friggin' roster. And when he's playing good, he's unstoppable.
Hey, that's
a lot of people still don't know who Chaney Johnson is.
Yeah, no, that's true. For me, Miles Kelly is a surprise just because we know what he is when he's the man. We just don't know if we're going to get the same production, and there's a lot more star power on this team than the Georgia Tech team that he played on.
So is this a good surprise player or
I think this is a good no. It's a good surprise. I think it's a good surprise because I don't know if people expect him to average double-digit points this year, and I think he will. So moving right along, let's go into our best scorer. We both agree on this here. It is Janai Broom.
No
I was
contest. No
tempted.
contest.
I was actually tempted to go another direction here. I
So was
was
I.
thinking that it could be Pettiford or Kelly. I kind of went.
Yeah,
I
you and
kind of
I
went that
both kind of.
direction.
I actually had Pettiford as my 1B, but
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
did.
again, Janai Broom is going to get the most minutes out of any player on the roster, and he's
Yes.
going to get the ball when he calls for it, and he's going to be able to score because he's obviously trying to expand his range. He did that in game 1. He tried it in game 2. I hated every 3-point shot he threw up against Houston,
Yeah.
but it didn't seem that Coach Pearl was getting mad at him for doing that. Like, okay, we're gonna let Janai do what Janai wants to do. So I mean, either way, he's gonna get his points. He's gonna do what he does best, and he's gonna win a lot of awards for Auburn this year.
He is. And speaking of Janai Broom, you also think he is going to be our best defender as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, he had 5 blocks against Houston. Houston as an entire team had 3. Get out. He affected every single shot that went up against him or even in the paint, period, against Houston. Everything had to go through Janai Broom.
That's fair. That's fair. But for me, it's going to be Denver Jones. Denver Jones disappeared. He disappeared in the Houston game for one reason and one reason only, because he was locking down Cryer in the second half, or Crayer, or whatever his name is. The dude had 2 points and missed his 3-point shot that he took, but he was locking people down. They did not call his name because he was not letting his man beat him, and we didn't need his offensive production, to be perfectly honest. We needed him to shut down Houston's scorers, and so I think Denver Jones is a phenomenal perimeter defender, and I think he's going to be our best defender this year.
He was actually my second option as well. I was deciding between Janai Broom and Denver Jones. The thing I like about Denver Jones a whole lot is he's going to take a couple of shots at the beginning of the game or at different points of the game. If he feels like he's not going to be hot that night, he's not going to keep throwing up junk balls. He's going to do what's best for the team.
Like Aiden Holloway.
He just shot everything up trying to get hot. You're not J.R. Smith, buddy. You can't do what he does. But Denver Jones, he is a great defender on the perimeter. He does not allow you to get inside and drive the ball. And he's just a really good – we got a great defensive team this season. Just a great team.
Yes, we do. Now, this team, how far can we go? I posed the question to you. I asked you, are we going to win the regular season title? And, that's not something that Auburn has done, I don't believe. I think, did we do it in?
I think we've won it 2 or 3 times in the last 7 to 10 years. We split with Tennessee. So actually 2 or 3 times, I think.
That's true. I forgot about that. So I could see us winning the regular season title. I think I have us losing too many conference games for it to be something that happens. I think we're probably going to see Alabama win the regular season title. That's me personally. But can this team also win the SEC tournament? You certainly thought so.
Yeah, I actually do think we can win the tournament. There's nothing that would stop Auburn from winning, because didn't they win the tournament last season? Because Tennessee won the regular season title, and Auburn won the SEC tournament. And that's something not anyone was expecting Auburn to do, because they had a difficult stretch there towards the end of the season. I think Auburn can at the very least split the regular season title and win the conference tournament.
Yeah. And the thing is this team feels like it's made for tournaments. It's made for tournaments, and we'll see on the in-season tournament that we go to in Maui. So we'll get a good view and see how we're feeling on that statement. So I agree. I think we can win I think we're more poised to win the tournament, the SEC tournament title, more so than the regular season, just because this team feels like it's made for the tournaments that we're going to have. And that leads into my next question, Josh. How far do you think that this team can go in the NCAA tournament? Now, before you answer that, last year you booged your ass off.
Yep,
you
shut
booged
up. I don't
your
want to talk about last
ass
year.
off talking about how this team could make it to the Final Four and how that team was better than the 2019 team, which was a very bold statement.
I still think they were. They
when
just
it was all said and done.
Unlucky in that first game against Yale. They were just unlucky.
Things seemed to snowball for sure, but let's not talk about that game. So with that big tease, what do you think this team is going to be able to do in your eyes?
I'm going to go a little more conservative. I'm going to be a little more conservative than last year. I'm going to say at the very least they make the Elite Eight. They're definitely not going to lose to a Yale in the first round again. If Auburn is not a 4 seed or higher going into the tournament, then it's a lost season.
Okay. Well, I'm going to shock a lot of people with my answer here. How far this team can go in the NCAA tournament. For me, we're winning the whole damn thing. I'm booking hard, man. We're effing going. This is going to happen. This fan base needs this, and this basketball team can give us this. We are going all the way.
After 2 games?
We are going to see this team cutting down the neck in the national title game. This is happening, Josh. We are going to win
games
the
where
title.
You're dubbing us national championship.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
This is why no one is going to be talking about Yale after this season because of the fact that we are going to win the title. Okay? We are going to be putting ourselves in so many tests leading up to this tournament. They're going to be ready, Josh. This team is made for the tournaments. I said it earlier.
I'll tell you what, man. If Auburn can go in and beat Duke, that's coming up. I'll actually agree with you that Auburn's going to go all the way and win it. But I mean, like you said, we got a tough schedule ahead of us. 2 top 10 teams in a row, Iowa State and Duke, and then it doesn't get much easier after that. I would love to agree with you, but after 2 games, I just don't know if I can. I'll feel a lot better about the season as well after November 26th, whenever Alabama actually plays Houston. Because if Houston goes in and dominates Alabama in that game, then I'm like, okay, yeah, this team is going to be good. I think they're going to be great. I don't want to do what I did last year and say that they're better than last year's team, which would make them better than 2019 team. But it was a lot of fun watching that freaking game last night. A lot of freaking fun.
And let's be honest, I'm the pessimist of the group. And if I'm sitting here saying that we are going all the way and we're going to win this national title this year, that is a ginormous bombshell for our regular viewers and regular listeners.
Crazy.
And because of that, Josh, War damn Eagle, son.
War Eagle, bro. This is good. This is fun. Good episode.
Yeah, let's go.